Meet the F1 Ultra. This is a brand new laser from xTool. It is the newest version in the F series. We are going to cover everything that this machine can do, go over all of its features. I'm going to share some really unique projects with you that I have not been able to do with another laser. And we're going to help figure out who this laser is going to work best for. Hey there, I'm Sarah. You are watching Creative Ramblings. We talk a lot about lasers on this channel, and today we are talking all about the newest machine from xTool. This is the F1 Ultra. The Ultra is the world's first 20-watt fiber and 20-watt diode galvo-style laser. That's kind of a mouthful, but it can do some really unique things that I have not experienced with another machine yet. So like its predecessor, the original F1, there are two lasers built into this machine. In the original F1, you had a 10-watt blue diode laser and a 2-watt infrared style laser. The F1 was also a galvo laser. So let's talk for a minute about what that word means. Most of xTool's other lasers are laser plotters. So there is an X and Y axis, and the laser moves along the X and Y axis to create a project, whether you're cutting or engraving. You can make some really big pieces like this. Like in the P2, you have a huge bed size, and the laser moves across it. With a galvo style laser like this, the laser does not move. The lens is really big, and the laser actually shoots at different angles to achieve a project. It's also able to focus at whatever angle it's at. So this particular galvo light laser is the largest size on the market right now. The F1 Ultra is a dual laser, so two lasers in one. And by combining the powers of both of these, you are going to be able to engrave almost all kinds of materials. From wood to leather, acrylic, all kinds of metal and plastic. Not only can you engrave and cut with this machine, you can also do deep engraving and embossing. I'm going to show you some amazing projects later that I have not been able to do with other lasers. The two lasers in this machine are a 20-watt diode and a 20-watt fiber laser. So let's talk about that diode first. xTool does make lots of other diode lasers. You can find all my videos down below that talk about what those are. The S1 has a 20-watt module. So anything you can do with that 20-watt, you can do with this one as well. The difference is because this is a galvo style laser, it actually works faster than you can get with the S1. The diode is going to be great for engraving on wood, acrylic, leather, glass, rubber, fabric, and so much more. You can cut with that diode laser as well. I have used the 20-watt diode on the F1 Ultra to cut really small pieces. If you want to cut larger pieces, you're probably better off going with like a laser plotter like the S1, but in a pinch, if you need to do some cutting, this will do it. The 20-watt fiber laser is unlike anything else I own. A fiber laser works on all metals and plastics. It can also do some really cool deep embossing and engraving. The fiber laser can also cut very thin sheets of stainless steel, aluminum, and brass. The combination of both of those being able to cut and engrave can really create some beautiful jewelry and metal pieces. So let's make sure we cover all of the features on this machine. And I want to compare it to the original F1 because that was the starting point for this. And the Ultra was developed based on feedback and needs from customers just like you. So this is much bigger than the F1. The power and the style of the lasers have increased so you can do more with it. It still comes with safety features. We have this enclosure here, which completely protects your eyes without having to wear glasses. That also makes it really safe to take to a craft market so you can personalize and engrave right in front of your customers and know that you're doing it safely. You have a fan and a smoke extractor in here, which is going to pull the smoke out and through a vent. And I have this hooked up to an inline fan and then out my window. You can also attach it to the air purifier that xTool makes. One of the things I love about this one that the F1 did not have is a camera. There is still a framing system. If you want to manually frame, you can see that. The camera allows you to precisely position your graphic on whatever material you're using. Like every other xTool machine, this one comes with a ton of safety features, including an emergency stop button back there. There is also a fire sensor and some other safety features that just really make sure when you're using such a high-powered laser that you and your customers are safe. Some other things that we don't see in the original F1, this little touchscreen right here. This has been a really neat feature. I wasn't sure that I would use this, but it's been pretty great. I can create my design in XCS, send it over, and then this is my start button to start the project. You can also rerun the last project you made on that machine. It can store projects, so you can flip through, find the project you want, and make it right away without having to connect XCS. This touchscreen is going to come with your machine. You're also going to get some slats that you can put in there. This is ideal if you're doing any cutting to raise things up. And you're going to get a little positioning piece to help hold things in place or do multiple pieces and always have them in the same place. In true xTool fashion, there are some add-ons for this machine. I really like when xTool does this. If you buy a machine, more often than not, there are accessories you can add to it, so you don't necessarily have to buy another machine just to do a different type of a project. So the accessories you can get for this are a pedal switch and a button. I do have these. They're not something that I use all the time, but you may find this really beneficial. It allows you to just create pieces over and over with just the touch of your foot. You can hook up a conveyor to this, and I do have a full video on the conveyor coming out next week, so stay tuned for that. The conveyor is going to allow you to make long pieces. You can also batch process with the conveyor. It's pretty incredible the things that you could batch for your small business using this machine and the conveyor. You can also hook up the rotary tool to this. The same RA2 Pro that works with the M1, the S1, and the P2 hooks up to this. So you can do tumblers, glasses, and rings with your F1 Ultra. So that covers almost all the features of this machine. Now I want to walk you through some projects. So with this machine, you're going to use xTool Creative Space, or XCS. Because this is brand new, you want to make sure that your software is updated to the most recent version so that you can get all the features that are compatible with the F1 Ultra. The first thing I want to talk to you about is these two focusing dots. When you turn on the machine, you are going to see a red dot and a blue dot. We want those dots to come together on top of the material that you're going to be engraving. You can adjust those dots using the buttons on the touchscreen. Very easy to do, and it's going to help your project come out nice and crisp. I'm using one of the positioning clips for this. This just screws into the little holes on the base of the F1 Ultra. This is great if you're going to do multiple projects one after another. So I can place the piece right on here and then the next one in the same spot. I'm using an anodized aluminum dog tag for this project. I'm going to line up those two dots and then I'm going to go over to XCS. First, I want to make sure that my machine is connected on the top right, and then I'm going to refresh, and this is going to show me the dog tag that is on the base plate. I'm going to go in and select the material. This gives you a great visual of exactly what you're working with. You can choose your laser, your power, and the function, and XCS is going to suggest material settings for you. So I'm going to start with these. It's always important to kind of do your own tests, and if these don't work, run a material test array to see what's going to work best for you. Now let's add a name. I'm just going to put Rocco on this and engrave it. With the text in place, before I process, I want to auto measure the material. Now we're about ready to process. I mentioned that the F1 Ultra does have a framing function. So I can click this button up here and over on the machine, it's going to show me a box of where the graphic's going to go. I can adjust the brightness here if I need to, or I can rely on the camera for the positioning. Make sure to hit stop framing when you are done with that feature. Then we can go over to process. This screen will show me the trajectory of the laser so I can watch what it does, and it's going to calculate an estimated time. I am using the 20-watt fiber laser for this on aluminum. This is going to be incredibly fast. We've got a bright white engraving on here, and on my touchscreen, it's going to show me that this only took 4 seconds. Now, if I wanted to, I could put another dog tag back in there, hit the green button, and this would process the same project again. Next, let's engrave a custom logo on a plastic earbud case. This is fantastic if you are doing business-to-business customization. For this piece, I've uploaded the logo as an SVG and placed it using the camera. Now we have to play around with some settings. For plastic, I have played around a little bit with settings, and you can do this in the Easy Set panel. This is what I found has worked for me on these earbud cases. But again, make sure you have a couple that you can test on that you're willing to mess up. This is another project that's going to go really fast. The fiber laser works incredibly fast on pieces like this. The fiber laser is ideal for all kinds of metals. This is a coated aluminum bookmark here, and I'm just adding a custom graphic and some words to it. I'm doing really light engraving on here, so it can go really fast. However, the fiber laser allows you to do really deep engraving too. It's pretty quick, and you can get some really nice looks to that. The diode laser is going to work just as fast. This is just a simple graphic on a piece of basswood, and it's going as fast as it did when we did that first aluminum tag. Let's do something a little different. This is a brass plate for a wax seal, and I'm going to put a snowflake on here. So that's going to require some really deep engraving. Now I'm using the embossment feature here, and this is going to take about 100 passes to get this really, really deep. The deeper you go, the more wax that can fill in there. That is something you cannot do with a 2-watt infrared module, and you cannot do with a diode laser, but you can absolutely do with this fiber laser. Think of the customization you can offer here for wax seals with initials, logos, all kinds of things for your customers. Embossing is one of the coolest things you can do with this fiber laser. So I'm going to walk you through that whole process right now. I have made a ton of test pieces on rock coasters, so that's what we're going to do here. I'm using the slats for this one. You can also lay it flat on the bed. This process creates a lot of dust, and so by putting it on the slats, I can easily pull this out and just brush it off to clean it. So I've got my 2 dots overlapping. I'm going to close the lid, and let's go into XCS and create an embossed image. In XCS, you want to choose embossment under mode. This is going to give you a lot more options. Then you're going to select the material. This is a rock coaster. It comes up in the list of things you can use. Then I'm going to auto measure. You can emboss just about any graphic or image, but you need a depth map of your image. That's kind of an in-depth process, so we are going to start here with all of these embossment images that are already created by xTool. These have a depth map, which means it tells the software how many layers to engrave. We're talking 200 plus layers here, so these can take a long time, so we're just going to do a small image here kind of in the middle of a coaster. So once I have the image in, now I want to make some settings. And there's a lot more settings here than there were if we were just using the flat surface. This is what kind of comes up as standard, and this is what has worked for me on these rock coasters. When you're making a long process like this is going to take about 20 minutes. Make sure you don't leave your machine. It's really good to have it vented outside because this is going to create a lot of dust. So we can go ahead and hit process and then hit that button over on the touch screen. This is a really cool process to watch because that laser is just going to slowly carve away all the negative space around the flower. And the laser is going to do it at all different types of angles. The process is complete after about 17 minutes. I like to take this out, hold it over a garbage can with a big paintbrush, and just knock all of that dust out of it. There are so many possibilities. You can do larger coasters. You can lessen the depth of this. So we did 256 layers. You could do something like 150. It would be a little bit lighter. But there's so many possibilities with embossment here. Now I want to show you how to emboss a brass challenge coin. This process is the same one that we used for the coaster. So we're going to set up an embossment, and because it's metal, we chose the brass coin as the material. It's going to take a lot longer. So this coin is set to take 48 minutes to engrave. And I actually lightened up on the layers here. If I were to go that 256 layers like I did with the coaster, we'd be looking at more like a couple hours. The end result is amazing. So if you have something special that you want to put on brass coins, this could be a really great seller for your business. So that is just a sample of projects that you can do with the F1 Ultra. I will have videos coming out dedicated to the conveyor and the rotary tool paired with the F1 Ultra. So be sure you subscribe so you don't miss when those videos come out. So let's talk about who this machine is for. The F1 Ultra can complete a variety of jobs on almost any material. We're talking engraving here, almost any material really, really fast. Because it is a galvo style laser and it has a nice big lens, it can work at speeds that even a diode on like the S1 cannot work at. The Ultra combines two lasers into one. So you are getting a nice deal there versus buying a 20 watt diode and a 20 watt fiber. I think that the F1 Ultra is ideal for the small business owner that wants to stand out. It doesn't have a handle on it like the original F1, and it's heavy, but it's definitely portable. It's not like the P2, which I cannot move on my own. You can take this to markets very easily. With this machine, you can personalize anything in seconds. So if you have a jewelry business and you have a ton of jewelry at your craft market and you want to personalize it for your customer, you can safely have this piece at your desk and you can engrave. Now you can do the same thing with the original F1. The difference is you have a fiber laser here versus the IR module on the original F1. This fiber laser can do deep engraving. So you can create jewelry that has a really deep engrave to it. You could do custom stone coasters that are embossed. You can do rocks. You could make memorial rocks or plaques. There is so much personalization and customization that you can do with this. Now you add on the conveyor to this and suddenly you are batch producing as many pieces as you can think of in record amount of time. This is definitely a machine for the small business owner that is short on time and you have orders coming in and you need to fill them, or you have that personalization niche that you need to fill. The F1 Ultra does have the ability to cut. However, I would not rely on this as your main laser for cutting materials. If I'm going to cut wood, I'm going to use my S1. If I'm going to cut acrylic, I'm going to use my P2. If I want to engrave, this is the machine to do it. It's fast, it's easy, it works on all materials. But do not buy this thinking you're going to be able to just cut everything, because it's probably not the best use of your time or money on this machine. So let's talk about pricing, because this is very important. So the regular price of the standalone F1 Ultra is $47.99. Now you can see here as of June 2024, we're looking at $39.99 for the machine. So that's going to come with the touch screen, the slats, the little positioning pins, and the vent hose. I always recommend a bundle whenever you're shopping for a machine, because you can get some really good deals. So if we take a look here, you can get for just a couple $100 more, you can add on the conveyor. You can also get the deluxe bundle that adds on this rotary tool and the smoke purifier. So if you're looking to do it all, take a look at these bundles as well, and always subscribe to xTool to make sure you're getting the best deal possible. They run sales all the time. You can find links to this product down in the description. So that was a really good overview of the F1 Ultra. I hope I was able to cover everything that this machine can do so you have a good understanding of what this does. I hope you have a good understanding of who this might work for. Again, I'm thinking small business owner here that wants to batch produce or personalize. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next 2 videos on both the conveyor and the rotary tool. And if you want to learn more about lasers and how to use them for your hobby or small business, stick around. That's what we talk about here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.